Every room of this world seems to be carefully crafted for me. A hidden hand woven through the fabric of the universe.
Sometimes, I don't know about you, person who is taking in this media, but sometimes you just need a little something to give you a breath of life. Sometimes that's a first-person puzzle game, and sometimes that's talking to Mick Fraser. Mick, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, mate. And you?
I'm not too bad. I don't know. I'm feeling kind of spiritual somewhat, just because of the name of the game, Pneuma, Breath of Life. What is Pneuma, Breath of Life? It's all I know is that it's a first-person puzzle game and it looks quite nice.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. First of all, it's worth pointing out that Pneuma means breath of life. I need to get that point across to people.
So the game is called Breath of Life.
Breath of Life.
Breath of Life.
Breath of Life.
Brilliant. Okay,
So
I'm in.
That's what we're dealing with. So yeah, no, it's a first-person puzzle game. It's kind of interesting in the way that the passing of the seasons is interesting from a certain point of view.
Okay, elaborate.
So it looks quite nice, right? It does look quite nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't look quite as nice as the developers wanted us to think it looked.
Okay.
It's just kind of. It's hard, right? Okay, so let's go back. It's a first-person puzzle game, and you play a god, and basically the most annoying fucking god that ever lived. But you play a god, and you have been, for some reason, you've woken up in this new world that you have created and are in the process of creating, that kind of looks like a set of Spartacus has been abandoned by everybody.
Yeah, I'm with you, yeah.
So, and then you just sort of walk around. You don't walk around, you've got no legs. You sort of glide around as this godlike entity, this formless deity, and solve puzzles that are there for no real reason whatsoever.
Right. So, like, in terms of story, you're a god, and you wake up on the set of Spartacus, and
basically.
That, like, is that it? Is there any kind of...
No, not really. You just have to keep going forward. That's like the whole point of the game. You just keep progressing. So you'll wake up and everything's like marble statues and fountains and that sort of thing. And you wake up and there's a door, and it's like, well, and the god surmises that if there's a door, you must walk through the door. So how do you open the door? And then you look around a little eye-shaped device on a stand, and when you look at it, the door opens, but when you look away from it, the door closes.
All right.
So it's like you have to sort of turn yourself sideways and sidle on, keeping your eye on this little device, so the door stays open, you get through. And then when you get through, you move on, and there's another little device that does something else.
Yeah,
so
that's
sometimes
actually, that puzzle is very reminiscent of a puzzle in Antechamber. I don't know if you ever played that, but yeah,
I never did play Antechamber, no.
But it's kind of, so does any puzzle repeat itself, or is it?
They are more or less all variations of that. It's not a very long game. I think it's 6 chapters. Don't quote me on that. And most of the puzzles are more or less variations on that. Like sometimes the eye device will make a room spin, or rotate a platform, or move a bridge, or open a portcullis. Sometimes you'll need to move a lever or a switch to manipulate something else, maybe raise the level of the eye so that you can see it through, a different opening, that sort of thing. But there are more or less variations on look at the eye to achieve progress.
Okay. Are these puzzles difficult?
Some are, yeah. Later on, so at the beginning they're very basic. By about halfway through, they start to get a little bit more taxing. You've got to move. There's a lot more moving bridges and ledges, and you've got to look at the eye and move your body in a certain way so that it's weird. You sort of, when you're focused on the eye, if you rotate your body one way, you will rotate the platform that you're on, because the eye will move with you as long as you keep looking at it, if that makes sense. It's not as complicated as I'm making it sound, but it's hard. Right. It's quite hard to describe.
Okay.
But there's the most annoying, the worst thing about it, I say, is it's not that it's a bad game. It's very idling. It's a really relaxing puzzle game. There's no threat or danger. There's no laser beams on the floor or anything. But the god has a voiceover. And the voiceover is fucking incessant.
Okay, so it's just constant, always there, never shuts up, and is just very annoying.
Point of distraction, yeah. The only respite you get is when you get stuck on a puzzle, and then you switch from being frustrated at the voiceover to being frustrated at the puzzle, and then as soon as you achieve the puzzle, the voice kicks in again, and he basically will narrate in like a really annoying kind of I don't know what the word, like a children's presentery sort of voice.
Okay.
British accent, and he narrates everything. So, you know, and some of it's quite amusing. So, you know, there's a bit where he prattles on about, you know, maybe he'll invent lemonade, but if he wants to invent lemonade, he needs to invent the abstract concept of sweetness, and then he has to invent lemons, and then he has to invent carbonised water, and all this stuff. He goes on and on and on. And then he'll stop for a couple of brief seconds, and then you'll go around a corner and he'll start on again, and it's, I don't know what they were aiming for.
I was just going to say, are they going for a kind of a comedy style Stanley Parable, or maybe Portal, or
yeah, I think they've definitely tried to sort of ape that kind of humour. It's kind of that existential, you know, I think therefore I am, and we'll just make constant jokes about that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a little bit strange. The humour in it is a little bit, it's kind of British, but kind of forced British, if that makes sense. It's all right, but it's quite irritating, and it goes on and on and on, and it never really stops ever. The only good thing is that it doesn't repeat. It doesn't, or I notice it doesn't seem to loop anything. So even when you get stuck, he just goes quiet until you progress again. So at least you're not hearing the same irritating thing over and over again. So they have recorded quite a lot of voiceover, but it's just a bit annoying.
Right. It doesn't sound like an overly positive experience.
I'm not that thrilled by it, if I'm honest. And I'll tell you why. I'm not a big puzzle game fan, which is probably part of it. I dig explosions and violence. I'm like part of the worst common denominator of gamer. I like, you know, bombast and things that blow up and stuff.
That's perfectly fine. Everyone's allowed like what they want to like.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not so in that. So yeah, somebody who's waiting for the next puzzle game to come along and have you know, a couple of hours of nice relaxing feet on the sofa idling gaming would probably find it a lot more satisfying than me. But I just thought it's a lifeless game, if that makes sense. It's just very, very empty and bland and blah. You're just doing things because the game tells you to. Like, for a certain amount of time yesterday, I literally just put the controller on the floor and went and did other things, and then came back and was like, oh, I forgot I was playing that. And it's that sort of game. There's no, like, you know, you can literally just stop playing and nothing's going to kill you. You know, you're not going to run out of time. You know, it's just, the guy just stands there.
As you said, there's no threat. There's no...
Yeah, so for me, personally, it wasn't a big thrill. But I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad game. The puzzles are decent. So if you're after a decent puzzler, it's worth playing. And, you know, some people might like the incessant voiceover. They might like being prattled at relentlessly by someone who's really, really British. I don't know. It's like we're doing now. We're doing exactly that. So.
I think there's no better place to stop. So thank you very much, Mick. And thank you, dear viewer or listener, for watching or listening or whatever. And make sure you like and subscribe and all those other things that you've already done on PewDiePie's channel. Thank you and goodbye.